The majority of us have experienced at least one potentially traumatic event in our lifetime that may be influencing our work experience, and you may be regularly exposed to potentially traumatic events or materials as part of your job. So it can be potentially helpful to increase knowledge on options for responding if this is your case. Let's start by looking at a simple, practical example of how our brain remembers and adapts to potentially traumatic experiences. If you'd been bitten by a dog, and I asked you to think of that experience, you'd know when you remembered the incident, you were recalling something from your past. This traditional flavour of memory is called explicit memory. But if you were later to come across a similar looking dog, you might automatically see the dog as dangerous, experience anxiety, and have an urge to run away. This type of memory is called emotional memory, that would arise without you knowing you were remembering something. So being bitten by a dog later influences your response to a similar looking dog without feeling like a memory of the day you were bitten. Our brains adapt to all types of emotional memories by continually preparing us for the future based on what's happened in the past, invisibly guiding our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. In the same way, trauma exposure is potentially influencing the way you feel, behave, and interact on a daily basis. If you suspect trauma memories are affecting your work or life, here are 3 things to consider. 1. Increasing insight. Understanding how trauma impacts our experiences can be helpful. It may not be immediately clear how trauma influences our feelings or behaviours. As we've discussed, emotional memory can mask the reasons behind feelings of intense anxiety or aggression, making it challenging to connect those feelings to past trauma. With the knowledge from this training, you might gently reflect on how your past might shape any current challenges. If you choose to do this, consider strategies to cope with potential distress. For instance, walking while reflecting can help reduce trauma triggers. If you start to feel overwhelmed, pause and focus on your surroundings for a minute or so. Notice what you see and hear. Alternatively, pay attention to the sensations in your feet as you walk to ground yourself. You might also vividly recall a joyful or loving memory. 2. Recognizing your courage. Experiencing trauma can leave us feeling distressed and helpless. It's crucial to acknowledge that navigating trauma memories is one of the most challenging human experiences, and any effort to cope is an act of courage. Instead of being swept up in self-judgment, remember that trauma triggers are normal brain responses, and the habits that commonly develop from these experiences are your brain's way of managing perceived threats. Also, celebrate the strength inherent in your coping strategies, no matter how small and ineffective they may seem. 3. Moving forward. Focus often on the strengths and resilience you've demonstrated thus far, and recognise the positive coping strategies you likely already employ. If you're considering seeking help but feel hesitant, understand that this can evoke feelings of vulnerability and fear. If you work for a large organisation or one where trauma exposure is common, you probably have access to trauma-informed resources and support. Also, you might consider seeking support from a trauma-informed professional if you feel comfortable doing so. Tapping into their skilled assistance can be a helpful part of continuing to improve how you cope and respond to trauma exposure. While trauma often has profound negative impacts, it's important to also recognise that it's possible to experience post-traumatic growth. This refers to positive changes that can emerge from struggles with trauma, such as increased resilience, a deeper appreciation for life, stronger relationships, and a greater sense of purpose. Best of luck.